Welcome back, everyone. It's been about 2 days since I was last live, but ever since Season 1 ended, it has felt like a huge amount of time since we came back for Fight Night. After that break and showing off the new hype trailer and having all of our star players get ready for a whole nother year of fighting, I'm extraordinarily happy that we get to go right back to where we started at Unit. But first, we're going to talk about the changes that are going to be happening as we move on to Season 2, Ascension, and how all of this is going to work from now to the foreseeable future. If you already know what I'm about to talk about, please skip to the time on screen right here and jump right into the action. Otherwise, keep out an open ear, and I would really appreciate it, as it would assist in making this process as streamlined as possible. If you haven't already joined the Discord, link is in the description. A lot of this information will be brand new to you, so if you want a heads up on the happenings of Cash's Fighting Network, please join and you'll get all the updates as they come out, as I post most Fight Night updates and info in that Discord first. The biggest change to come this season, and may come for future seasons, is the rotation of existing titles and the additions of new titles to Fight Night. I'd like to start with the deliberations on games and game rotations as we continue this event, and as well as how all of this works so you can understand what will be evaluated for future event titles qualifications. One of the big questions is, how are we going to proceed as we continue through the seasons? How are we going to know what games are being rotated out or on the chopping block? Here's how I'm proceeding with this. Everything for Fight Night is being based on audience and general attendance numbers. Personally, I'm happy to just be playing fighting games and having people along with me for the journey. But if I want to build a community, I have to draw in the interest of the community. I love fighting games, so honestly I'm happy no matter what. However, at the end of the season, I will figure out which had the lowest attendance rate of the existing lineup. Fight Night is currently set to only have 4 games in rotation at max. To describe the ruling process, the first slot game, which has been BlazBlue Central Fiction as the making of this video, will not be replaced for a following season and will not share a slot with another game in a following season. Essentially, it is in this golden lock state where it is safe for a full season, as it is our star game, bringing in the most people and having the most attention when it comes to live streams. For the second, third, and fourth slot games, they're under watch for every season. If they have a serious audience drop or a complete lack of attendees, I will begin deliberations to prepare a new game for the lineup. All 3 of these slots can and may be rotated out at the same time, but the first slot will remain untouched until it gets a drop in audience. At that point, the game will then drop to the second, third, or fourth slots and might even get rotated out after that season. The decision to deliberate on a rotation is decided by myself and my moderation team. The titles to replace said game or games is and will be decided by the community. At the end of each season, I will announce what games would be next to be rotated out, in order to draw more attention to said titles and give them a chance to stay in the rotation. If you want a game to stay in the lineup, please attend and give it love. Otherwise, room will be made for other titles. I'm not going to keep one title up for one individual when 9 others want another game. Now, this does not mean that every single season that comes out will confirm that a game is going to get kicked out. If the audience level is high enough for all 4 slots, then there's no reason to put a rotation in for that season, and therefore there just won't be one. However, if a game is rotated out, this does not mean that the game will never return to Fight Night. If that were the case, I would have been very upset about Street Fighter 3. Every game has a chance after each rotation decision is announced, but if there is no attention for that game or games that got rotated out, then they won't come back until the attention is gained. And finally, as a fail-safe in order to not have any more titles hold a slot that no one is interested in, I may remove any game preemptively and ask the community for a suitable and majority voted replacement as quick as I possibly can. Now for the main point of discussion. How are new games going to be introduced and how are they going to be decided? I've cleared up what is required for a rotation. But now I wanted to address how a new game or games are to come to Fight Night. Inside the Discord, there's a role acquisitions channel that I've been using to determine interest in what fighting games have top interest right now. Again, the more people want a fighting game, the more successful it will be for my end goal of a community, as well as it will be more entertaining for the general public. In this channel, there's a varied list of fighting games available for you to declare your interest in. As there is no limit on how many games you are interested in, the more roles, the better the chance a game you might want can make it into Fight Night's next rotation. I will be taking the top 4 most popular fighting games based on those roll numbers and showcasing them in a small montage video, as you will see shortly. Afterwards, I will be creating a Discord poll and a public Google form in which voting will take place to decide what game will join the rotation. Regarding voting, the Discord votes are going to be worth 2 votes and the public forum is going to be worth 1 vote each. This is done in order to add an additional incentive to join the community Discord and give those that took the extra step another way of showing my appreciation. On a set date, I will announce a lockdown, stating that everyone in the Discord is now going to receive a voting role and is free to go and vote for their game of choice. If an individual joins after the lockdown stage, they will not be available to vote for that season and have to wait for the next rotation. Discord by default can only allow polls that go for a maximum of 2 weeks. I will shoot for a max of 1 month of time to vote in total. So when the poll ends in the Discord, the remaining time will be for the Google form to complete. There may be a shorter amount of time available to vote in the future, but I plan to have no less than a week to vote. Once the voting ends, I will announce what won and what placement they'll have in our current rotation. Until otherwise stated, this is how the process of adding new games will work for Fight Night rotations. Now with the housekeeping mentions out of the way, I am finally prepared to show you what qualified for the Season 2 rotation. I have 4 games to show you today, and even though we lost Third Strike, I believe that these games are justified replacements and just as entertaining. Now, let us begin, as I take you back to the stage of history. For our second qualifier, it was a sudden addition, and a welcome one at that, but this is something I've barely dabbled in, and I would be more than ready to give it my all. For our third qualifier, this game got a bit of screen time during the old format of Fight Night, and I think it deserves another chance of coming back as a main event. Welcome to the Anteroom. For our fourth qualifier, we get to go back to when Arc Systems was pumping out revisions back to back. This time, we get to what I personally consider as perfection. Well, that was amazing, and what a lineup. I can't wait to experience a whole new season with all of you, and I cannot wait to bring in more people into this community. However, something seems empty, unbalanced, unsurprising. Something instinctively inside me feels there should be more surprise from this. People with a keen eye and a nosy mind can figure out what's to come even before I announce it. So what do? I'm going to throw a wrench into those plans and add some suspense to this party. I'm sorry I didn't mention this sooner, but there's one more rule I haven't told you yet. During these announcements, I'm going to throw in my attempt at a new game for the rotation. This decision will be completely devout of intention, desire, or the declarations of interest. So with that in mind, and from here on out, there will be 5 titles up for voting. The popular 4, and my surprise pick. With all of that said, I think it's about time I show my suggestion to the ring.
We are controlling transmission. Ready.
another battle.
That's it, everyone. That's the qualifying lineup. I'll see y'all on January 31st when the voting is concluded and the next Fight Night title has been revealed. February 14th, 2026 at 4 p.m. MST will be the first date in which this game is played. I hope to see you all there. Good luck voting!